Why, good morning, everybody. It's Motivation Mornings with Marnie and Melissa. I'm Melissa Houston. I'm a health insurance specialist and financial planner located here in Victoria, BC. And I really enjoy Sudoku.
Oh, that's good to be good with those numbers. Good morning, everybody. I'm Marnie Dangerfield. I'm a wellness and intentional creativity coach, also here in Victoria, BC. And I am currently considering the possibility of purchasing, looking at options for an electric bicycle.
Oh,
Yes.
that's cool.
Open to any and all feedback.
I don't have one, but they look great.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Wow. Oh, yes. And today, as you may have noticed, we're just biking along here. We're watching Spin Class Lancaster County, PA, Amish countryside via GoPro bicycle cam, posted on YouTube by Go Cycle. And today, if you didn't really notice that theme of cycling, it's World Bicycle Day.
Yeah.
Gotta love the bike.
Yes.
Good for so many reasons.
Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you for knowing that it's World Bicycle Day and for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I'll just go a bit of review and we'll get started. So we always like to start with our value statement, and then we'll share our daily inspiration. I'll go first, then Melissa, and if you want to share something in the chat, we'd love to hear it. So we'll all share inspiration, and then I'll share a wellness tip. And Melissa will round us out with our contact information and the always inspiring motivational quote.
Our value statement. Today we gather
in the spirit of possibility,
in support of community,
to encourage holistic well-being,
to empower our authentic selves,
to share appreciation,
to express compassion,
and to enjoy this gift of healing.
Yes, indeed. Well, Marnie, what have you got for us today?
So, well, I think we're all pretty much aware of a lot of upheaval in the world right now, and the pandemic or local tragedies or environmental issues or what's going on with our neighbors to the south. And got me thinking of the quote from Mr. Rogers, when he was a boy being scared and his mother telling him, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. And, you know, I keep aware of what's going on in what's happening in the world, but I'm also really focusing on the ones who are helping. And every day there are stories of that helping happening, whether it's after riots, people going out with brooms and brushes to help clean up, or people bringing food to those people who are helping clean up. There's a person in New York who housed 75 people overnight who got stuck between two groups and needed shelter, and he just opened up his house and let them in, and they had pizza and until it was safe. And the story of a 17-year-old boy who never organized really anything, organized a big march with thousands of people where he lived, and had the police chief linking arms with him as he was going down the street. So there's just story after story of people who are helping. And I just gotta say, it's those people, all those helpers who in whatever way they're doing it, trying to help. That's what's inspiring me this week.
Wow, that's such a great perspective to focus on the helpers, since traditional media doesn't often do that. So you have to be a little more intentional in looking for it. That's such a great inspiration and motivation, Marnie. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, not Maggie. Sorry. Brent.
To really change your name,
Sorry. Thank you. So how about you, Melissa?
Well, I too, in a similar vein, there's a lot going on in the world, and it's kind of hard to, well, you just don't want to ignore it because it's important stuff. And so I wanted to share, um, well, I'll back up. I don't know how many weeks ago it was, but I had shared my one of my daily inspirations was a podcast episode um, on Brene Brown's podcast, Unlocking Us, with Glennon Doyle about her book, Untamed. And I shared how great that podcast episode was. And since listening to that, I have started reading the actual book. And I'm almost done it. Not quite, but almost. And it's interesting because before what happened with George Floyd, in the book, there's a whole chapter on racism. And I thought it was, well, first of all, the whole book, I have to say, it's like one of my favorite books ever. I can't recommend it highly enough. I want everyone to read it. I'd love to hear other people's opinions on, and it's so varied too. All the different chapters have different focuses. And so there's just so much good content. I think she writes in a way that, at least for me, is very relatable. And so when I read this chapter about racism, I was like, yes, this is the chapter all of us who have had white privilege and see ourselves as not racist and have difficulty understanding how we are perpetuating racist systems. I'm like, this is the chapter we need to read to understand that there's always more work that we need to do. And sometimes when we are trying to do something positive, we might not be doing the most helpful thing because we're still working within the racist systems. It's a very complex topic, obviously, and but the important thing is a lot of us want to do better. We recognize that there is more to understand and learn. So anyway, I just wanted to share a paragraph from this chapter, and I think you really need to read the whole chapter to get the whole message. It's really worth reading, in my opinion. But I found one paragraph I thought I would just read to you that I thought would be good as a single paragraph to share. So, we are not going to get out of the racism. Oh, sorry, I've already messed up. We are not going to get the racism out of us until we start thinking about racism like we think about misogyny. Until we consider racism is not just a personal moral failing, but as the air we've been breathing. How many images of Black bodies just thrown to the ground have I ingested? How many photographs of jails filled with Black bodies have I seen? How many racist jokes have I swallowed? We have been deluged by stories and images meant to convince us that Black men are dangerous, Black women are dispensable, and Black bodies are worth less than white bodies. These messages are in the air, and we've just been breathing. We must decide that admitting to being poisoned by racism is not a moral failing, but denying we have poison in us certainly is. So that's just a thing. So my inspiration is that book, the whole book. Love it, read it. And yeah, I just want to share that I know a lot of us are trying to learn more. And yesterday we had Blackout Tuesday on social media, and I really love the concept of just trying to quiet down so that we could hear the voices that need to be heard right now. And so that's what right now is all about. It's about learning and growing in that way to try to best support everyone out there. So that's me. It's a little heavy.
Ah, all you have. All you have. That was amazing. Thank you so. Wow. I'm gonna soak that in. And I echo your feeling about the book. It's an amazing book, and that's an amazing chapter. And I really appreciate you sharing it. Yeah, and that importance on the listening, learning.
All right. No worries. So you have a daily wellness tip for us today, Marnie?
Mm-hmm. So, and not surprisingly, we've got a bit of a theme. This is weekly and it's based on what's happening in the world. So, um, my wellness tip, I tell it the balance of the dark and the light. Because we've already discussed there's a lot showing up in the world, there's so much change, is requiring us to re-examine our systems and our habitual patterns and ways of being and thinking, and really having injustice and inequality pointed out to us in such a powerful way. And I think it's always been important, and I just really feel it's even stepped it up a notch, how important, yes, being aware of it all is, and also being really self-aware, and what sort of self-care you need right now. Really be that gentleness and kindness and compassion and peace. We're all interconnected. So whether it's happening right next door us or into it with our family, it doesn't matter. It's all affecting us. And so really encouraging that piece of checking in with yourself. How is that self-care? Are you getting enough sleep? I know for myself, I need a bit more sleep. Are you staying hydrated? How are you getting movement out? Are you eating healthy? Are you getting out in nature and taking that time to either journal or self-express in some way creatively? Because I think for us to be able to show up and be present for all this, we need our strongest, most resilient selves to be present for it, and to not shut down. And I think a big part of that is prioritizing your self-care. And so I'm urging you to, yes, be aware what's going on, but also really be aware what's happening with yourself and your stress levels, and how you can take good, kind care of yourself, and how joy, I think, has to be a part of that. I know with things like this, it can feel like, oh, heavy, and yes, we need to be aware, but there also needs to be that balance of joy and laughter, and celebrating birthdays and celebrating anniversaries and a beautiful day or a beautiful bird, and watching a funny show or sharing a laugh with a friend. There needs to be that joy, that balance of the dark and the light, and that tragedy comedy piece. I think it's we need it all right now. So I just also want to urge that too. That we say it, enjoy this gift of a life. We can still be enjoying it and be creating positive change, I believe.
Such good points. So important to remember. And yeah, to have that self-awareness when we're trying to deal with so much external stuff. Making sure we're okay internally is so important too. Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you.
I've been enjoying our little bike ride through the countryside.
Ew, I have to admit, like,
I feel like going for a bike ride.
Me too.
All right, we're gonna get to winding up for today. So, our contact information, here we are. Should you like to chat with us, provide feedback or ideas, feel free to email us at motivation.mornings@gmail.com. We have our Facebook page, MM with MM. We'll post our recordings of these webcasts on there, and we can share the links to any resources that we have. So I'll post about the Untamed book in the comments section for this one. And our Instagram page, motivation_mornings_with_mm, posting our quotes and reminders for these on there. And then we have our YouTube channel. And again, that's where the recordings will get posted. Feel free to subscribe on there if you are someone who enjoys watching the recordings, if you're not able to join us live. It'd be great to have you subscribe, and then you'll get notifications whenever we post, which is usually weekly. Thank goodness. We're being pretty consistent with that, Marnie. It's really awesome.
Consistent, yes.
Oh, and our motivational quote for today, it's a little more on the lighthearted side. I thought of that while riding my bicycle. Albert Einstein on the theory of relativity. I just love that photo of him too.
It is such a great photo. Look at that joy. He's just so joyous. It's wonderful.
And I know there's been, I don't know if actual studies, but there's certainly the idea that physical activity is good for mental stuff. Like if you're trying to be creative or just do some good thinking, actually going out for a walk or biking or doing something physical will help you in doing that. That you have more ideas and can be a little more creative.
It's absolutely true. Yes.
Juices flowing. The creative juices flowing.
Yes.
So I hope you all have a wonderful day. And, if you don't have a bike to ride, maybe give a ride to someone who is biking by.
Thank you all so much. I hope you have a good, kind day.
Have a wonderful one, and hopefully see you next week.
Yes.
Bye.